politics, entertainment. I will discuss everything and everything. Nothing is off limits. Are you ready to talk? Are you ready to debate? Welcome to Food for Thought with Mike Winkler. Hello everyone, welcome into Food for Thought. I'm Mike Winkler and welcome to my podcast. I really appreciate you if you were listening to this. So this is my podcast, and on this podcast, have made it my mission to discuss just about everything. Life, politics, entertainment, talk about whatever have you on your mind. And I'm a very opinionated person, don't get me wrong, and a lot of people may be thrown off by the fact that I'm a conservative and I have my political views that are very strong, but I'm the kind of person that's willing to listen to just about any point of view. But if I think you're wrong, I will tell you, and I'm not afraid to call you out on your bullshit. I'm going to say it just for the way it is. I'll call you out on your bullshit. I wanted to do a podcast where it was open to talk about everything. Nothing was off the table. Everything could be thrown out there. And nothing's off limits. Nothing's off limits. And I like a spirited debate. But I do ask if you come on the show to debate, you keep it clean, keep it fresh. Let's not get personal about stuff. Let's just talk about things like if you were having a beer at a bar and you were discussing things. Let's not get into it, and let's just talk about what our opinions are and what we think is right and wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, what is life without opinions? You know, what's the classic saying that everybody always says? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and that's the absolute truth. They do, and I just want to talk about everything, and I mean, like, when I say everything, you know, we could talk about life. We could talk about what you're going through. What's life bringing you each day when you wake up? Who the people you deal with at your workplace? The thoughts that go through your head. Anything. It's not just a political show. I do love talking politics. Don't get me wrong. I do have my strong viewpoints. But this is a show that I don't want to be just all about politics. There's a lot of those shows out there. And a lot of people have those different opinions, and I don't want to steer people away because that's not what I'm about. It's not to say I won't have episodes that are more politically based. If you're not a conservative, you're probably not going to agree with me, so maybe those are the episodes you want to kind of ignore, and that's fine. I'm not going to be doing those episodes all the time. Those will be some things that I'll space out, or depending on what's going on in the world, if it's worth discussing, like around election times and stuff like that, it'll be a very strong topic to discuss. But in general, I'll discuss life, even the entertainment world. A lot going on in the entertainment world right now, as you all know, with the writers and the actor strikes. I have some very strong viewpoints on that too, which I will discuss in this episode later on in the show. So again, please subscribe to the podcast if you want to hear all this. I'm going to make the episodes as interesting as possible. I'd like to have our listeners on the podcast to discuss things if possible. I do want to transition to live podcasts eventually down the road so people can just call in or come in and discuss things on the fly. But I'm starting this podcast just as recorded episodes for now, just to get a launch point and see how we can grow the audience and see if there's a opening to do the live episodes down the road. But that's definitely my plan, and I'm hoping to do that. So come on in and listen. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, and there'll be a lot more to come later on down the road. But you can at least subscribe on those. You'll be notified whenever there's a new episode. I'll even leave an email address so you can even throw in topics you'd like to be discussed on future episodes. I'm always open for potential suggestions of what to discuss because there's always so much we can get into. And there's no limit as to what we can discuss. There are so many different topics we can go on. Probably can do millions upon millions of episodes of topics to discuss. I'm not saying I'll last a million episodes, but there's so many different things that we never run out of things to discuss on this show. So, sky's the limit, as you know. So, Okay, so now that you're listening to my show, there's a couple of weekly topics that I wanted to get into first before I get into some life things, and then get later to the entertainment world kind of stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about today, and I'm going to start out things with a little bit funny and humorous. So as you all know, if you've been listening lately, with the whole Facebook and Twitter, or whatever you want to call it now, X, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have been butting heads. And there was a challenge fight, and I don't know if the challenge fight came from Elon or came from Mark first, but either way, there was a challenge met that they would do a UFC-like cage fight. And I guess it's going to be in Vegas, which, there's no better place to do it than Vegas for this. This is a show all for publicity's sake. This is entertainment at its purest form. But these two in a cage fight, I'm going to tell you, my feelings on Mark Zuckerberg are very strong. I think the guy's nothing but a weasel. If you've seen The Social Network, you know the story of how Facebook came to be, how he screwed over his best friend and took the company. The guy's nothing but a weasel. I have absolutely no respect for Mark Zuckerberg. You will never hear me talk positive about that man on this show ever. I gained a newfound respect for Elon Musk. I didn't really know that much about him before all this Twitter acquisition stuff and stuff like that. I really didn't know, but I started doing my homework on Elon a little bit more after that. And Elon is very much into the wanting to get people to space. And I'm all for that. I've always been a sci-fi buff. I love space. I've always said that if Starfleet and Star Trek was real, I would join Starfleet in a heartbeat. I would love to travel, see the stars, see the universe, see if there are other people out there, discover strange new worlds. That would be my thing. I would love to be in the military in space. Unfortunately, it's not a thing. And, but Elon Musk wants to get people to space. And I think based on what I have read, he wants to make it affordable for people. Like anybody can go if they want to go, not just for the super rich. If I quote something in Jurassic Park, it's when the insurance guy for Jurassic Park basically only wanted the park to be catered to the super rich, and he wanted to do a coupon day kind of thing. But John Hammond wanted to make it accessible for everyone. And that's kind of what Elon Musk wants to do with this whole space travel thing. And I really respect that very much. And I'm hoping he accomplishes that, because that's something that I think every person should be able to discover. Why should that be limited to just people that can afford it? So we'll see where that's going to go. So back to this cage fight thing. This cage fight thing, I look at both guys, and I think Elon Musk could destroy Zuckerberg in a cage fight. Now, Zuckerberg has been going on saying he's been doing different diets and different things to prepare for it. Whatever. I'll believe it when I see it in the ring, but I don't look at Zuckerberg and see a fighter. I just don't see it. So I will be first in line to want to watch this fight, though, because I think this is pure entertainment at its best. But what I really wanted to touch on here was Elon Musk has said that he would give the ticket sales to veterans. And I applaud that so much, because if there's one thing in this country that I greatly respect, it's our veterans. The reason why we're able to do the things we want to do, be free, me be able to go on this show and talk about things freely and have the right to free speech, which we'll get into rights of free speech later on in a future episode, because our free speech rights are definitely being attacked and are definitely in danger of being lost if we're not careful. But we'll talk about that at a different show. But without the veterans, we wouldn't have all that. And I think a lot of people seem to forget that. And it goes, not to go off subject here, but I'll give an example of respecting the country. Let's talk about the USA women's soccer team. they've caused a lot of controversy over the years, whether it comes to fair pay. And look, I'm all for fair pay for men and women. I'm all for it. But if you're going to make that argument, you need to realize, or the women's soccer team needs to realize, why they don't make the same amount of money as the men's soccer team. Because they're not bringing in the same advertisers, they're not bringing in the same crowds, same ticket sales, same attendance. There's reasons for that. It has nothing to do with them being women. It's just the men are bringing in more. The revenue is more, and they just don't seem to understand that. They think they should just get that money just because. Just because. And let's put it that way, just because. And it isn't right. So anyway, they've been kneeling for the national anthem or refusing to participate in the national anthem, and it happened again just recently at the start of this World Cup. And I'm not going to cheer on my country's team if they can't even respect the nation's anthem. Because essentially they're stepping on the American flag when they're doing that. And when they lost to Sweden just the other day, I was happy. Good riddance. If you cannot respect my national anthem and go out and play for the country that you're supposed to be representing, and you can't even stand or respect the national anthem, why should I cheer for you? You're not representing me or my country. These women have made it more about politics than playing the sport or representing the country in another country for the sport. So, to me, them losing, good, because you're not representing me anyway. To me, they're not playing for the United States. They're playing for their own agenda. So when I see them do that, and this goes back to what I'm talking about vets, when they want to do that, they're basically, to me, spitting in the face of veterans as well. Because veterans fought for the flag. Veterans fought for the right for them to do what they're doing. Whatever. And by them doing that, they're disrespecting them. So when I see Elon Musk doing this, great respect. But Mark Zuckerberg hasn't commented on any of that. And we're at the point now where if he comes out and now all of a sudden says, oh yeah, give it to the vets, we're at a point now where enough time has passed where, okay, you're just duplicating what Musk is doing because he's getting positive reception in the media for doing it. Are you doing it because you feel it's the right thing to do? Or are you doing it because you want it for good publicity for you and your company? We're kind of beyond that at this point. Now, Zuckerberg comes out and says he wants to give money to, I don't know, a children's hospital or a medical center for cancer treatment or whatever. Great. I'll stand by and say I applaud you for that great job. But if you duplicate the whole vets thing, you're just doing exactly what Musk has done. And I guess in a way, if I'm not gonna criticize Zuckerberg if he decides to do it, because if he does it, great. But the fact that he hasn't said anything kind of is a little bit of a problem to me. So, the cage fight, there's no date for it set yet. There's no official thing if it is actually going to happen yet. I mean, I have my doubts that this thing is never going to... I think this thing's never going to come to fruition. It may just be publicity talk for both companies. We'll see. I guess we're not calling Twitter anymore. I guess we are officially calling it X now. I mean, he has officially dropped the tweet and the retweet from the app and the desktop platform. So now it's called Post or Repost. So he officially has pushed everything away that had to do with Twitter, logos, the names, what they're called, and such. So we are officially in the generation of X now. Weird name, for sure, but it's unique, and I guess that's what's all that matters in business. It's a unique name, and people know what it is, and they will always know what it is. So we'll see what's going to happen there. So my next topic goes on with these polls for the upcoming elections, and I was recently watching, I believe it was Fox News and Newsmax, and they were talking about men and women and what they were what they were skewing as far as where they were voting. So supposedly, with these new polls, they're saying that men are skewing Republican, which, great. rightfully so. I mean, men should be, because mostly the workplace is filled with men, just because women are staying home with their kids, raising their children, and I always respect that so much. Men and women are both entitled to have careers. I'm just a firm believer that if you decide to have children, one of the parents, whether it's man or woman, should stay home and raise the child. I don't think that both should be working and shelving your kid off onto your grandparents or your people in your family or childcare. I don't think that's the way you should be raising your kid. You've chosen to have kids. Somebody needs to stay home and raise the kid properly. If you want your kid to turn out good, you probably should raise it yourself, because relying on somebody else to raise that kid for you, they're distilling ideals and ways of life in them that you may not necessarily agree with, especially if you put them in childcare. Because you don't know, with everything going on in the world today, especially what's being taught in schools, you don't know what those daycare centers or childcare centers are doing to put things in your kids' heads. You don't know. I mean, when they're little, obviously, the kids are not going to absorb that. But when they get to a certain age where they start absorbing all that information, you don't know what's being put in their heads. And then all of a sudden, they're being raised with that ideal because you yourself were not around to distill those ideals in them. So I'm a firm believer in that, and I have always said that I don't care if the man or the woman stays home to raise the child, just as long as one of them does. So men are skewing Republican probably because of the way, things have gone up. Guys are having to work more, or men are having to work more to provide for the family and this and that. So they're probably skewing Republican for that reason alone. But now they're saying that single women are skewing Democrat. Now, they don't tell you the reason why that is on the news. And my opinion on why that is exactly that. It's an opinion. But I'm a firm believer that the reason why single women are skewing Democrat is because of birth control and abortion. I mean, plain and simple. All you have to do is watch the news. You see them fighting over what they claim to be women's rights, but this is not even a women's rights issue at this point. I am a firm believer that women's rights, as far as children are concerned, your choice began when you decided to have sex to have that child. You made that choice. They say about having an abortion is about being pro-choice to do it. No, you did have a choice. You chose to put yourself in a situation to conceive that child, and you got pregnant for it. You also chose apparently not to use birth control or whatever because you're pregnant. That was your choice. I'm a very strong pro-life supporter. I mean, the only time I say that abortion should be used is in cases of rape and incest, and if the woman is in danger medically of losing her life due to childbirth. Other than that, no. Abortion should not be an excuse to go around, sleep around, and just have the abortion because you choose not to have the baby, but you still want to go around and have sex. To me, that's just not right. That's just not right. Abortion is supposed to be there for the strict purpose of specific reasons. And I think rape, incest, and medical reasons are those three reasons. I'd argue that. You'll never get me to change my opinion on that, ever. I'm a firm believer in that. And that's just how I think on it. But I think that's really the reason why single women are skewing Democrat, because of this whole birth control issue. And I think that's kind of sad, because we are at a point now where gas prices are through the roof, food prices are through the roof, cost of living's through the roof. And if we're making our priority birth control and abortion for why we vote in an election, that's a little bit of a problem. That's a huge problem, because since when did birth control and abortion become the primary issue as to why we vote for somebody for office? If that's our main priority, we're in trouble. I mean, the country's in trouble, don't get me wrong, but we're in trouble if that's why we're voting. Because, okay, you got your right to birth control and abortion back. Okay, so how are you going to live? This is not rocket science, people. This really isn't. This is a very, very black and white issue, and I don't even understand why it's even a debate at this point. So, I guess my overall consensus on it is they care more about killing their babies than their pocketbooks. Plain and simple. And I don't know how else to put it but that. And I know I'm going to have people that are going to strongly disagree with me and will want to bitch me out for it, but go ahead. I'm a firm believer in that opinion, and you won't get me to change my mind on it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that will agree with exactly what I just said. So, be my guest, argue with me, and you can do it with you're blue in the face. You're not going to get me to change my opinion on that at all. So we'll see what's going to happen come election time. I just hope that some of those viewpoints change, and I hope that people start using their brains instead of other things on how to vote. So we'll see what happens there. So the final topic of the week that I wanted to discuss before I move on to some different life things, entertainment, is this whole thing with New York City and immigrants. This whole situation is actually quite hilarious because you have people in New York and other states and cities that have, the Democrats being happy about all the immigration and the open borders and stuff like that, and they basically have told Texas and all of them and Arizona that they should take in immigrants, they should house them, they should treat them like they're citizens of the country. Now, here's where things get hilarious. Governor Abbott in Texas has, of course, been shuttling immigrants to New York City. And I love that he's doing that because, and for this exact reason, too, that's happening. New York City Democrats are now saying that Biden is asleep at the wheel. And now only they care now because New York City's becoming overfilled with immigrants. They don't know where to put them. I mean, let's be honest about this. They only care about this now because their state is being affected. They didn't care when this was Arizona. They didn't care when this was Texas. They only care about it now because their state's being affected by it. Well, it's like newsflash. This is the exact reason why they're being shuttled to you. Because you don't get the realization of what this is causing. So it's okay if Texas and Arizona get overfilled with people and they don't know where to put them. But it's not okay for New York City. It's like, sorry. I hope now you wake up to the fact of why Texas and Arizona are pissed off. I'm all for, immigrants coming to this country to be citizens and be able to live the American dream. But you have to go about it the right way. And that's also a concept that's not hard to understand. Our country has laws. They have rules. We have regulations. And when we start picking and choosing which ones we want to follow, we start becoming the country that we don't want to become. We start becoming a country where we lose the very things we were founded on. And it has nothing to do with us not wanting these people here. I welcome them with open arms, but I only welcome them with open arms when they come here the right way. Everybody is entitled to come here and live the American dream. But you can't come about coming here illegally to get it. We're to the point now where illegals are getting, free housing and free electric and getting food stamp cards and expecting the American taxpayer to cover it all. Last time I checked, when you do things that are illegal, you don't get rewarded for it. And that's kind of the basis of this whole thing. We are teaching people, especially in this country, that if you do things that are against the law, you're rewarded for it. So while the rest of us follow the rules and get nothing, if you break the law, you get rewarded. It goes to the same point of allowing people to go into Targets and in gas stations and other stores and just steal shit and let them go. But if they steal something and I go and tackle them to the ground, I'm the bad guy. I get questioned. I get arrested because I attacked them. But it was okay for them to go into a store and steal shit. That shit is ass backwards, ladies and gentlemen. And if you can't understand that, there's something seriously wrong with you. Would you be okay if one of these people came into your house and stole your shit, and when you tried to stop them, you were questioned or you were arrested for it? Would you be okay with that? Ask yourself that question. And if you sit there and you tell me that you would be okay with it, you're a liar. You are a damn liar. You will not get me to understand this point ever. Ever. Because this is purely a common sense issue. And I hope to God you all have common sense. But I'm asking the wrong question here, because we're at the point now where if you vote Democrat, all your common sense is already out the window. Because if you can't see the destruction and the mess that Joe Biden has caused, only 3 years in office, there's something wrong with you. His whole Biden economic plan is a mess. You know, we're told by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden that, we don't see all the good they're doing. Well, how can we see all the good they're doing when I'm paying $3.50 or $3.60 at a gas pump and I'm paying $5 or $6 for a carton of eggs? I'm sorry, but that's not a plan that's working. The interest rates are up to 8%. 8%. Are all you Democrat people okay with paying that interest rate to go buy houses? I mean, come on. And you're okay with paying $3.50 for gas? You're okay with paying outrageous prices for bread, milk, and eggs? I mean, come on. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that this would be happening too if Trump were in office. No, it wouldn't be. COVID created a mess, sure. But don't sit here and tell me that this would happen regardless of who was in office. That couldn't be further from the truth. Take a deep, long, hard dive at Biden's policies and things he has signed into law or done since he's been in office, and you will see the reasons why things have skyrocketed the way they have. Do your homework. Don't just believe everything you hear on the news, because the news is going to fill your head full of things that they want you to hear. Go online, do your own research, look up the facts, do your homework, and you will find the things that I'm saying are correct. And if you find things otherwise, bring them to me. Tell me what you find. Explain to me what I'm missing. I don't think I'm missing anything, but if you think I'm missing something, please bring me the facts. You could email me what you find. Come on the show and talk about it, and we'll see if you're right. We'll see if you're right. But I am not seeing any kind of opening, any kind of explanation for you to tell me that Joe Biden is doing a great job. He right now is, I'm a firm believer, being the worst president in U.S. history. And this was a time when I thought Barack Obama was, nothing could top that. Boy, was I wrong. Did I really think we'd have a president worse than Barack Obama in less than 10 years? No. No. Joe Biden is a glorified disaster. As far as I'm concerned, he's a puppet. I think he's being controlled by somebody else because he's not competent. He doesn't know where he is half the time. It's a frustrating topic for me, and I don't want to talk about it for too long. But I just cannot stand people that will sit here and tell me that Joe Biden is doing a great job and we should get 4 more years of him. It's laughable. It's a joke. I can't take anybody seriously that tells me that the man deserves 4 more years. No way in hell. So we'll start getting real, people. We'll start actually doing our homework. Because if you start doing that, you're going to start seeing things in a very, very clear light. All right. So I'm going to switch gears here, get away from the politics and the topics of what's going on this past week. So let's get into a little bit of life. A little bit of life in general. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to lighten things up, but we'll get off the whole political train. So my life lesson of the week has basically been this. You know, a lot of times I sit in bed and I think about the world today, and I think about, different things. And I sit there and kind of wonder even about people. You know, sometimes you deal with people in life where if you have a group of people and you're doing something with them, you know, and the same thing goes with friendships too and stuff like that. You know, friendships are a two-way street. Working with group of people on projects is a two-way street. It just isn't the big picture of things. And sometimes you feel as though like, and I'm sure you've all had situations like this where you feel as though like you are the one to always have to come up with the plans, reach out to people, and do all those different things. And you get to a point where, you know, you don't mind doing it because, you know, you help get things done, or for a friendship, you know, you keep a friendship going, and that's okay. But it's not for lack of being frustrated. You know, you get to a point where you feel as though that why do you always have to be the one to put group sessions together? Why do you feel like you have to be the one to always get meetings put together or stuff like that? And it gets frustrating. It gets frustrating because you feel as though even though it's supposed to be a two-way street, it feels more like a one-way street. And that's very frustrating for me because I've dealt with personal experiences like that lately too, where I feel as though I'm the one that has to put things together. And I don't mind doing it, don't get me wrong. It's just a little frustrating that other people don't take the same initiative to do that as you do or as I do. And it's something I've wanted to bring up to certain people, and I don't want it to come off as harsh or thing, because nothing personal. It's just a general idea, just a general thing that I wish could change a little bit with certain things. I just wish things could be a little bit more evened up with certain things. So I'm sure everybody's felt like that one time or another. Whether it be at work or with friendships or whatever. But it's just something that I personally wanted to discuss myself. But also, too, you know, I sit sometimes, too, and I just kind of sit and wonder about, you know, where my life's going to take me, you know, what my overall plan is. And it does scare me, and I know it scares everybody. And I sometimes sit and I wonder about, you know, where I'll be in 5 years, where I'll be in 10 years, where I'll be in 25 years. And just even 5 years from now, it even scares me too, because I think in life we all get to a point where we get comfortable in what we're in. We get comfortable with the way things are, with where we're living, who we're around, how just our everyday life is, getting up in the morning, what we do. And then all of a sudden, a year or two from now, all of a sudden everything just drastically changes, and your whole way of life is just jump-started and changed. And I think that's what scares me the most, is that, you know, you get used to a certain way of life, and then when everything is uprooted and changed, you almost feel like you lose a little bit of who you are, or you're afraid of losing who you are. And I think every day I even get to a point where I get afraid of how I'm going to lose who I am, or if things change, am I going to change? And is my change going to be a good change, or is it going to be a negative change? You know, I look at my situations right now, and I'm at a point in my life right now where I have lived in a certain place in my life where I have felt comfortable. It's what I'm used to. And deep down, I know certain things have to change, need to change, or have to get to a point where I have to accept change. But it scares me. But it scares me every day, because I sometimes don't know how to go about that change comfortably. And it's something that I know I have to figure out, and maybe even need a little bit of guidance in doing so. But it's a scary thought. And there are certain things that I definitely want to change in my life, and get myself in a better place and a better frame of mind with certain things. But it keeps me up at night a lot of times too, because sometimes you're just laying in bed and you're just thinking about it, and you cannot get into deep sleep because you can't get yourself in a place to fall asleep until you get your mind in a comfortable place to do so. And usually sometimes, you know, you do get the comfortable thought that allows you to do that, but then sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. And yeah, you eventually fall asleep, but you wake up with the exact same problem the next morning. And it just makes it that much more difficult. So, I just want to relate to everybody out there. If you're feeling that way, I feel that way too. And I think it's more common than we all think. And I think it's important to have people in your life that you can go to and talk about these things. And I'm thankful that I do. It's just sometimes I don't always express that or talk about that like probably I should. Because sometimes I don't know how to broach the subject, or I don't know how to begin the topic, or I'm afraid of just everything in general, sometimes. And it's concerning. It's concerning to me because it's not something that I want to be. I don't want to be the kind of person that bottles everything in and doesn't talk about things, because they say that's the worst thing you can do. You bottle shit up too long, eventually you explode, and it's messy. So, if you're having those similar issues, I'd love to talk about it with you all. Do an episode where I can get a couple people, different people on, and we can talk about different life issues, and we can kind of relate to one another and try to help each other. In a little bit of a therapy session, I should say. But I definitely recommend, too, if you have people in your life that you feel like you can trust with certain things, go talk to them. And I have to take my own advice on that, too, because it's great advice, and I think it's something that everybody needs to do, because bottling up is just not good. And I've bottled stuff up for far too long myself, and I'm getting to a point in my life where I realize I have to start unbottling some of this stuff, because I'm afraid that eventually a time's going to come where I'm just going to bottle everything up so much, and it's going to be a situation where I'm just going to explode with emotion, and I'm going to be, whether it be a full-blown upset crying fest or me getting angry, and I don't want to distance people away from me if I get angry, because, again, it's nothing personal. Sometimes my anger gets the best of me because I'm just angry about something, and I have pure raw emotion and feelings on something, and when I feel like I'm right, I get angry, and I don't want to distance and push people away because of that, and that's something I definitely need to get better with, and that just comes from being able to talk things out when you feel like you have to, because bottling up's just not good. It's just not good in general. So, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the entertainment world a little bit before we wrap up this episode of the show. So, first things first, the entire writers and actors strike. I'm in 100% support of these people. I've always said that the writers, I think, are extremely underpaid and they're undervalued. Because without the writers, there wouldn't be movies, there wouldn't be television. It's just that's the honest to God truth. With the rise of AI, artificial intelligence, and people saying, "Oh, well, we can put a story into a thing in a computer, can write a script out for us." So you want to take away the human aspect to a script. You want a computer to write it for you. How much can a computer write in emotion? And you want to take away those jobs from people? There's something wrong with that. There's something seriously wrong with that, because I guess if you're a studio, you think you're saving money by not paying a writer, but you're underpaying the writers anyway. So it's kind of like, what's the difference? It feels like. So the whole AI thing, look, artificial intelligence can be a great thing in general, but it needs to be picked and chosen as to what it should be used for. What good should it be used for? What shouldn't it be used for? And this is a situation where it should not be used, because you're taking away jobs from people, and I am not at all for computers taking jobs away from people. That is wrong on so many levels, and the studios need to grasp reality here. But also, too, just even away from the AI aspect of it all, writers are underpaid. They're not being paid what they deserve. Based on what I've read, they're not being paid bonuses for movies that are, doing great at the box office, stuff like that. They're not being fairly treated, and hopefully they get the deal that they deserve. And the streaming thing too has also been a big cause of it all, and that's kind of where the writers or the actors part of it comes into play here, because the actors going on strike is another AI issue. They're wanting actors to sign off on a day or 2 or 3 of work to scan them into a computer, and then they can use them whenever they want in future projects or whatever it is. That's wrong. That is so wrong. I'm sorry, but I don't think AI actors are going to be able to have raw emotion. I don't see that. I mean, I could be wrong, but we are forgetting the whole human aspect of this whole entire big picture of it all. And we can't lose that. We can't lose that. But actors, too, with these streaming deals are being cheated as well because let's take the Black Widow from COVID example here. When COVID happened and Disney wanted to release Black Widow on Disney Plus for their Prime Access, I think it was like $30 to rent the movie or whatever it was. Then I guess there were certain things in Scarlett Johansson's contract where if the movie made a certain amount at the box office, she was entitled to bonuses. And since it was going to Disney Plus, those bonuses were not going to happen, and she was being cheated out of that money and that bonus that she had in her contract. And that kind of goes back to that whole situation with being cheated based on a not with the times deal. The biggest issue too with the streaming is that we've come to a point now where movies are not staying in theaters as long. They're getting these small 2 or 3 month windows, if even that. I mean, we have some movies coming out in the theater, and within 6 to 8 weeks, they're coming out where you can rent them or purchase them on iTunes and watch them at home. I mean, how can you expect the movie to soar and do well at a box office if people know in 6 to 8 weeks they can just watch it at home for the same price they're paying at the theater to either own it or whatever? It's just it's the whole thing is whack. It's totally whack, and I don't know why these studios can't play fair. They can't play fair. I mean, the actors are entitled to a fair deal if you're going to use streaming as your future. And it's like they said, no, we're going to keep these same deals in place, and we're doing streaming, and we're just going to pay you what we're going to pay you, and you have to like it. That is so totally wrong. Without these people, you don't have a studio. You don't have a business. You have no money going in your pockets, CEOs. So start doing the right thing. Give these writers and actors the fair deal they deserve, and let's get movies made again. Because as of right now, we got a complete standstill, nothing being made. We're not going to have a fall TV season because of it. We got movies being pushed back, movies that have stopped filming. Come on. This is not smart. For Hollywood suffering as much as it has been lately, do you think this is the right thing to get yourself back on track? No, this is the worst thing you could possibly be doing right now. So give them the deals they deserve. Let's get back to making movies and entertainment for the people because people need it. People need it, especially in today's world. So let's get on the ball. Let's fix this. And let's play fair. All right, so this was the first episode of Food for Thought. I hope that if you've listened to it, that you've enjoyed it, and hoping you want to hear more. So please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, CastBox, and Spotify, with more platforms to come if you really enjoyed the show. And I hope you did. Because I think that the main thing I wanted to do with this show was to provide a little bit of therapy for people that need it, for life conversations, or if you need some place to hear a little bit of your side of the political spectrum, which with me it is the right. So if you're a Democrat, you probably will not like my political parts of this show, which you can easily skip over if you want to listen to my life stuff and my entertainment stuff, or just general stuff. So so please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I would love to keep this show going strong. There's a lot of things, a lot of ideas I have for the future of the show to make it a good platform for people to come on and talk about things whenever they feel like talking about something, whatever it may be, to get things off their chest and stuff. So I really, really hope we can make it that and grow the show's community and be able to provide that. So again, thanks for joining me if you listened to the whole thing. I really greatly appreciate it. It's much appreciated. And I really hope you'll listen to the next episode. Every Tuesday, I'll be posting a new episode, so look out for that. And then eventually transition to some live shows down the road. We're talking about maybe months down the road, but make sure to watch for new episodes every Tuesday. It's going to be a fun show. So, again, thanks for listening, everybody, and I hope to see you on the next episode of Food.